You know what you could do is you could film that before, right? Like you can do it when you guys get it right. You can always edit that later.
We want it to feel a little bit natural, if that makes sense.
That's fine with me. You should keep all of this in here. That's some of my favorite podcasts to do that. Go ahead.
I might do that then. Hey everybody, welcome back to Wealth and Wisdom Weekly. I'm your host, Colson, joined by Elijah.
What's up, guys? We are welcomed today by Zach Mefferd, the co-founder of Zipbonds. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to interview with us and talk about your business.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, happy to be here.
And thank you to our sponsor, National VA Loans, for making this possible.
You guys have a sponsor already. Great for you.
All right, well, let's just get some background on you. Like, did you grow up in Iowa? Did you grow up in Illinois? Okay.
So I grew up in southwest Iowa, West Iowa, Missouri Valley, small little town just north of Council Bluffs, Omaha. I went to school there and whatnot. Then kind of like the reason why I was at DMAC, right? Like I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was racing cars a lot in high school and go-karts and the race cars. And so I didn't go to college right away because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So and then I JUCO, and from Iowa Western up to Iowa State, and kind of just stuck in the middle of Iowa after that.
Right. What'd you go to Iowa? What'd you study at Iowa State?
Iowa State. So my major changed a couple different times. I went in as a marketing major. I believe it was marketing. And then thought I could get, because I had all these prereqs, I thought I could get through it faster if I switched to advertising. At the end of the day, I didn't really care what my major was because I knew I was just going to sell stuff. That's just what I've always done. And so I figured as marketing, advertising, what difference did it make? But I ended up graduating with a business management degree and a minor. I think I missed the minor by one class that was entrepreneurship, which was obviously where I was heading anyway. So yeah, Iowa Western to Iowa State with a little bit of DMAC somewhere in the between parts.
Where did college take you afterwards? Where did you end up at?
So I ended up working for U.S. Cellular during college. And when I graduated in 2008, the market wasn't overly ideal. And I also didn't really, I don't know if this is supposed to be targeted towards students, but I didn't take college super serious. Again, I kind of always knew that I was going to sell something or start my own business. And I didn't really feel like I had to get the highest GPA to try to get to the right, opportunity, the right internship, this, that, or the other. So I stayed on at U.S. Cellular because at the time I could make more money even part-time than I could some of these full-time gigs. And that led me into being a sales manager. I went through a program, and then, it's probably too personal of a story, but I just got to a point where I hated that. I just broken up with my then girlfriend, now wife. And I said, I'm done. I got to go do something else. So I sold literally everything that didn't fit into my 1997 Chevy Malibu.
Wow.
Like literally, like I sold on Craigslist at the time or Facebook Marketplace, packed up everything else into that car. And I drove to Charlotte, North Carolina. I didn't know where I was going to live. I didn't know where I was going to work. Didn't care. I had a little bit of money saved up. And like I said, I grew up around racing. And, if you want to be a country music star, you go to Nashville. You want to be an actor, you go to California. If you want to be around NASCAR, you go to Charlotte. And so I moved down there and just tried to figure it out. And that was part of how I got into one of my, first businesses, I guess.
So did you get to do some racing or?
Yeah, I didn't.
How long did you race for?
I still race a little bit. Like I've raced my entire life. I started, it's probably 7 or 8. I don't know if you guys know what soapbox derby racing is.
Yeah, you like build those cars and then you go race them pretty much.
So it used to be a lot cooler, right? Where you could just the idea was a dad and his son or something would build a car and go race. But at the time that I did it and started, they had these kits that we put together. And it was just a matter of trying to hold your car the straightest you possibly could and roll down a hill. So I think I started at 7 or 8, and then I got into go-karts after that, and then stock cars. If coincidentally enough, I thought I was going to race a little bit when I was in North Carolina. The money I had saved was for that, and I actually used it to start a business versus getting into racing because I was thinking to myself, cart, horse, if I get the business going, the business can fund the racing. And then, as I kind of already led on to the then girlfriend, now wife, brought me back from North Carolina. So there was a stop in Chicago on the way. But yeah, I raced pretty much my entire life. I hope to continue to race more. That's kind of the idea. I still, I guess I'm chasing that. Not that I'm going to be a pro or anything, but I just enjoy it. So.
How'd you know you just wanted to sell? You said you did
I
selling
think everybody
what?
sells. You know, look at little kids trying to convince their families to, mom and dad, I want that toy. You know, I want that second snack. I want that. Everybody sells. It's just a matter of, is it something you want to do as a career and want to be able to do it? And I just found that from a very early age, it was something that I was good at and I enjoyed it. The entrepreneurial thing was always there too. I mean, I sold things door to door when I was a young kid just because I had the opportunity. I forget the name of the club.
What were you selling, if I can ask?
Yes, no, I'll
like those candy bars, like you like.
Yeah, it's like that, but
some chocolate.
Yeah. There's actually a name for it. So I'm a lot older than you guys, but there's this club. They would send this to these kids' magazines, and in the back it'd be like, "Be your own boss, be an entrepreneur." What we would sell would be Christmas cards, birthday cards, peanuts, chocolates, that kind of stuff.
You get like a portion then for?
Yeah, so you would get. They gave you two options, right? You'd have the prize, right? Some kids were driven by the prize, and others were driven by the money or the commission, and that was me. And I'd go door to door and I'd sell this. Let's say it was like Sales Leadership Club or Total Sales something. I could look it up, and you guys can link it in the podcast here. But yeah, I started doing that, and I was pretty okay at it. So I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things. Like if you're good at something, you don't really consciously think of it. You just do it. So that's why I did it. Plus, I guess I figured I could make more money doing it that way, right? That was also part of it.
You don't have to like go work at fast food or whatnot. You kind of do it in your own time.
Well, yeah. I mean, even in college, as I'm graduating, I'm seeing my dad at the time was still in the auto business, and I'm seeing how much money these guys are making. At the time, they're terrible hours, but I'm thinking even with a college degree, I'd still as much money as they're making. To me, it made sense for a few years to do that, so I could save and figure out what I wanted to do. But I didn't end up doing that. Like I said, I stuck around the cell phone things at the time. That was pretty good money. So.
And you came to your first business. What kind of business was it? What did you?
Yeah, so when I was out in Charlotte, the first day I got there, stayed in this really crummy hotel. And the next day, I just stopped at a Starbucks to try to see what I wanted to do. And I ended up meeting a group of people there and found my eventual roommate. He connected me to this guy that had a salvage yard, so like junk cars and whatnot. He still gives me a hard time as saying I was one of the worst, employees he had for dismantling cars because I wasn't very good at it. But, he took pity on me and gave me a job. I think I was making, this is with the college degree, I was making $10 an hour back then, just tearing apart cars. And he moved facilities. And in the process, he had me removing all of the junk out of the one he was moving into and taking it to the dump or scrap metal place. And I was kind of like, I was getting frustrated about my opportunities in motorsports. They weren't happening. And I was doing this for this guy. And I'm thinking to myself, he's paying me $10 an hour to do this. And I know that people pay a decent amount for this. Like, I should just do that. Like, I'd be happier waking up and removing junk for people than doing this for this guy. I guess I knew a little bit about it because my dad and uncle had looked into buying into the franchise 1-800-GOT-JUNK. So that was kind of in the back of my head. But yeah, that's how that was born. I took the money I had saved up for racing. I went and bought a little F-150 in a trailer, and I started Charlotte Junk Guys. That was my first
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's still out there too. It's a really terrible WordPress site that I wish the guy who owns it would put to bed, but he keeps, I guess, paying the renewal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then after that, so you moved back to Iowa after that, and then.
Yeah, so that's the whole. Yeah, my now wife. So. I may or may not have been the reason why that didn't work out the first couple of times. So I brought her down to Charlotte trying to convince her to move down. And she's like, look, if this is going to happen, I'm not moving all the way down here for you. And rightfully so. She had every right to. So she took a job after college. She was also at Iowa State. That's where we met in Chicago. And so I sold that business. The guy who bought it from me back in 2011, 2012, he still owns it. I still talk to him every now and then. I'm really proud of the fact that businesses that I've started are still, like, they didn't just go away. Like, the people who bought them.
Has he expanded it?
Not really. He really he enjoyed doing it as a service. So he was almost like a missionary work to him. So he would do the for-profit part of it as needed, but he also liked to help people that really needed it and couldn't afford it. And that's just kind of, he was a little bit older too. He didn't want a full-time gig. So I sold that to him. I moved to Chicago. I didn't have a job for the first 3 months, and I said, I'm going to go find something that I can learn so I can eventually become an entrepreneur again. Like I didn't want to work for somebody the rest of my life. That was 100% understood. It has a lot to do with the reason why I married who I married, because her dad had gotten to a point where she saw that process of being an entrepreneur, because it's not easy. And so I said, I'm either going to go into headhunting, recruiting, insurance, or third-party logistics, like freight brokering. I really like that, and I still do. I think it's kind of cool. You broker freight from the person that needs something shipped, and then you try to make the margin between the guy or gal who's picking up that freight and moving it to the next location. And so some loads you're going to make money, some you're not. And then the idea is it's kind of like a boiler room type of situation. It's a lot of like a bullpen. People are calling and back and forth trying to figure it out. And that hustle kind of,
it's like the cold calling kind of just.
Well, I just that culture really appealed to me, especially at that time, at the age that I was like, this is fun, because it was competitive.
Right.
And I liked them. They had boards and tickers, and everybody was competing with each other. That just really appealed to me. But insurance was the first place to hire me, and that's why I still now own 2 insurance businesses, and I've never looked back.
So, what does Zipbonds do? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you.
No, that's okay. People that even know what we sell don't still know what it is. So, Zipbonds is a digital surety brokerage. Surety bonds are financial guarantees. It's a 3-party contract that helps secure someone's promise or bid to do something, or what they're doing. So, as an example, you said Urbandale High School, right?
Right. Correct.
Let's say Urbandale decides the parking lot is garbage. We're going to tear it out and report. And so a bunch of concrete guys are going to say, I want that job. Well, Urbandale is not going to just give it to whoever, right? They put it out to bid, and they let the contractors bid on that project. In order to be able to have the ability to bid on that project, they have to prove that they are a qualified contractor to do it. Mm-hmm. The bond that we supply to them for the bid is the guarantee that if they get the job, they win it, that they'll do the work. And then they follow that up with a performance and payment bond. The performance meaning that they're going to complete the project to all the specs. And the payment means that if they hire a subcontractor or if they have suppliers that they owe money to, either one of them are going to be able to put a lien against the Urbandale School District, because they're going to be paid by either that contractor who does what they say they're going to do. And if they doesn't, then the bond would pay. Kind of like how insurance pays on a claim. The difference is a surety bond, the owner of that business is indemnifying themselves. Meaning if that bond has a claim, the company that provides it, typically insurance companies, can go back after that contractor to get their money back. Does that make sense?
So would this be considered like a fintech company, or is that?
Yeah, so I've always said that like sureties, it's a financial product. Mm-hmm. It's underwritten like a financial product, but it's regulated through insurance. So it's kind of that it's in between. The tech part of it is definitely there. We do use technology for our personal underwriting process. We use it for the platform that we use to provide these options to insurance agents all over the country, and even probably more so just internally as a company. I don't know that it would be a fintech. It's probably more insurtech. Mm-hmm. But even both of those words kind of have a negative connotation sometimes in the space. It's typically when someone says they're an insurtech or a fintech, it's people that try to come from the technology side and force their changes on the industries that are antiquated. Where I like to think that we take an approach of let's fix it from the internal problems out, right? Let's use technology as we know the core of the issue. If you peel the onion all the way back to what it really is, it's a lot easier to fix than if you just throw a bunch of technology at it and try to force it on people that don't understand why they need it.
Right. Now, so are you the co-founder? So who was your partner?
Yeah, so the co-founder is a guy that I worked with for 3 years before. The joke is 1.5 of the, or 2, whatever, the 3 years that we worked together was trying to convince him to leave to start an agency. He recently just stepped away, and so I'm in the process of, taking over both entities. But his name is Ryan. He was, one of the smart. He is one of the smartest guys I've ever met, never worked with, and we had a lot of fun doing it. It's just, there's a lot of things. You asked us, we were walking in, how was today? And I was like, it was a lot. That's this space right now. We still have the insurance agency that we use to help credit unions start insurance agencies within their own firms, and there's just a lot of moving pieces, and he decided to go in a different direction just in his life, and I totally support him in what he's doing.
Now, when you guys created, when did you guys start?
Yeah, so Coverage Direct was founded May 2nd, 2016, and we officially launched Zipbonds June 1st, 2021.
Nice.
So a little over 7 years altogether, what we're doing. And
are you guys just in Iowa too? No.
Oh. So Coverage Direct currently operates in 23 states, and Zipbonds is in all 50. We've done work in Hawaii, we've done work in Alaska.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, and Texas, Florida, and California are our fastest growing states. And so it's not, Zipbonds does work direct with consumers, but we also are a brokerage for insurance agents.
That's me, one of my questions.
Yeah, so we're 50-50. Our business currently comes half and half from each side. And going into 2024, we're going to try to expand both of those. But yeah, it's nationwide.
What's your guys' lowest premium
for a surety bond?
Yeah.
So we get about 6 to 7, maybe 8 calls every day for a bond for a title. So if you lose the title for your car, your motorcycle, your whatever, most states will require you to bond the amount of that vehicle to get a replacement title. And it's really just the DMV's way of protecting somebody claiming, hey, you gave him a title and he wasn't the rightful owner. Or, that's, I own this vehicle. You didn't do your due diligence. So that's a way of kind of protecting it. Those are $100.
Oh.
That's the lowest. You can ask the biggest.
Oh, it's the biggest.
Yeah, it's the
I'm trying to
biggest.
think.
Our biggest.
Man, I'm trying to think of I should know this, the biggest premium that we've had on one.
Or like construction, I guess, or like what's
it's 6 figures.
Okay.
I don't know the exact number, but it's 6 figures of premium that we have. Yeah, there's some big stuff that we get to work on. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, that we get to work on things that size. It's just it's not like one day I woke up and said I want to do surety bonds. I was an insurance agent that was trying to write surety bonds. I couldn't figure out how to do it very efficiently. I didn't like the process. I tried to find a solution. I couldn't find it. So I created it. I mean, that's how I think entrepreneurship should be, right? You don't like what you process. You don't like the way something's done. Figure out a better way to do it.
Now, when you guys started, did you have any outside investors, or is it all?
That's a great question. Hold on. All right. So when we first started, we never asked anybody for money. We approached a couple of our current clients at the time that were commercial clients of ours that were just good entrepreneurs, and said, hey, we have this idea. Here's what we want to do. Can I take you to lunch? Can I come over to your office? Whatever. I just want to get your opinion on what you think of this. And in the process, I kind of thought this might happen, but I wasn't for sure. They both were like, do you need some money to start this? Like, what do you need? Like, we want to invest. And so we had 2 different guys at the time that really wanted to help us. The one that we ended up going with, just because he gave us significantly better terms, and still great guy, still I'd consider him a friend and somebody that I hope that I get to do something with again at some point. But the reason I tell you the story is like he gave us a certain amount. I said, hey, you have a line of credit to here. That's all I'm giving you. Okay. If you need more than that, we got to talk, but like, just go do your thing. I trust you guys. Go figure it out. And I think we blew through half of that in the first 3.5 months. And, we knew things weren't good and he could do math and realize things weren't good. He brought us in and he goes, boys, I like you. I think you'll be successful, but I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to cut my losses. I'm going to give you 6 months to figure out how to buy me out of what you owe me. And if you can't do it, I'm going to sell off whatever you've done. I'm going to give it to somebody else. I'm going to try to recoup most of my money. And I said, okay. And so we had a very stressful 6 months from there on because he, pulled out 4 months in. We had just gotten started. And I mean, that was probably the lowest of the lows of being an entrepreneur. I don't know if I was telling you this when we first met, but that's the thing about entrepreneurship that most people don't want to talk about. They always brag about the highs, right? And especially in this like TikTok, Instagram world,
Yes.
Everyone's bragging, doing that. Like you got to embrace the suck. Like it's gonna happen, and it's really hard. And grit is the only word I can come up with that explains like what you have to be able to get through a lot of these times. And that was absolutely the lowest. I mean, no money for. I just found out I was having our second kid. You know, both of our wives either were stay-at-home moms or didn't work full time, and we were, you know, responsible to take care of everybody, and it was really tough.
Do you have any advice for anybody? I know you said grit, but like anything that I don't know, I guess helped you get through that time, or
Yeah, what was every day kind of like for you going through all that?
It's a lot of stress. I think I gained like 30 pounds. I'm not kidding you. Like
Really?
just stress eating. Just like I was so stressed out all the time. Advice, you know,
just gotta
don't give up, man. Like that's just it. Like
keep pushing through?
in my mind, there was never a plan B.
Mhm.
And I remember one of the two guys that told that we were looking to invest with, he goes, you have to go into this. Like there's no plan B. There's no, well, I can always fall back on my whatever. Because if you're already thinking that at the beginning, you're probably going to fall into it pretty easy. I just chose like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to, I wasn't going to quit. I just was going to find a way, something, even if I had to work jobs outside of my full time, I don't care. I just never was going to quit. So, but you have to go into it, that mentality, and it's probably cliche to say it like that, but like, that's just it. Like you,
Right.
and
I think that's fair, honestly.
it's
Because sometimes that's the mindset you need is like, this is everything. I got to put all my effort into this.
Plus you have all your chips in, and
like I'm telling you, like you have to give up everything. Like
Exactly.
there is no social life. Like there's no, you know, the fact that I'm still married after those years is crazy, right? Like my wife is so much a part of the reason why I'm successful and what I've been able to do, because she was my cheerleader at that time when, you know, I'm harder on myself probably than anybody, but other people I could tell were like, you know, they could see it. They could see how hard it was. I actually say that right now with things transitioning to the business partner or not, I feel some of those same feelings that I felt then. You know, of like people saying like, oh, look what's happening. Oh, is he going to be okay? Is he going to make it? Like, but she never wavered. She was always my biggest fan and always, and at the time she's, you know, helping me, right? But mainly just taking care of everything else. I'm leaving before she's awake. I'm coming home super late. She's raising 2 kids by herself. You know, I don't think I give her enough credit, honestly, for doing that, but.
Shout out to the wife here, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, she knows. I've talked to her about it and whatnot, and I'm sure she'll appreciate that. But it's just, one of the things I said in the recent speech I did for Iowa State, the Entrepreneurship Club, is just like, I said, really, really careful with who you partner with. Like, and I didn't mean that just for like business. I meant that like for your life. You know, whoever you spend that time with, whoever you marry, whoever you choose to, you know, partner with, like you got to be really intentional about that, because that person's going to have a huge impact on your mindset and what you do or don't do, and whether or not you make it is a lot of that person. So I guess that'd be my advice.
Well, you're here now.
Yeah.
What's kind of the process now of are you like, so your partner just left? What are you gonna have to kind of take over? Or what do you?
Everything.
Yeah.
Can
you outsource it to somebody else, or are you gonna?
Yeah, some of it, part of it. It's so new. It's 3 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm still trying to kind of sort through and categorize like what's the thing that I should be spending my time on, what isn't, and then how do I build processes to make sure that when I do hand this off, I can trust but verify very quickly and efficiently. And some of the process of doing that. The good news is I've kind of already done that on the other side. So I have at least a somewhat of a blueprint on how to do that. And once you get there, I mean, I've got a great team here. Like people I trust that work hard. The core people of, you know, what we've done on both sides. And so I don't think it'd be that hard, but I like, for me personally, I just like systems and processes I can replicate.
How many employees do you have working under?
So currently we have 6 on the coverage direct side. And we're at 4 on the 5 on the zip side. 4.5. One of ours.
4.5.
Well, so we have they're over there, right? So, but one of them went off and started his own company as well.
Okay.
I definitely encouraged him to do so. He had done such a great job building out a lot of what we did from the tech side. It was getting hard to kind of continue to find things that need to be fine-tuned and taken care of. And he was getting a lot of requests for consulting work. And so he's still there. He's not technically an employee. He went out on his own 10-1, but he is there and he oversees a lot of what we do.
What do you look for when you are hiring your employees?
Man, if I'm being honest, I really like to hire people that are competitive. I don't want to say they always come from an athletic program, but you can, or background, I'm sorry, that they just competitive and can tell me something in an interview that tells me that they don't give up. I try to find that. I intentionally look for and try to recruit from different places where you're going to find people that have some. It's usually an athletic background. I'm not going to try to hide from that. But I do think that people that have that ability to kind of grind it out and figure it out, and don't give up, turn out to be the better employees. But I will say, I'll take it from Gary Vee. I think that's who first said it to me, and it made me think differently about it. It's like, you just got to get really good at firing. I know that sounds terrible. You do. Nobody knows. I've had some great people interview, the best interviews you had, come in here, and they're just like, wow, that's that person's really, really good. And then the person that shows up on the first day is not the person that interviewed. And you just have to find a way to evaluate that quickly and just know when to cut your losses. And it doesn't mean that they're bad people or bad employees. They just probably aren't the right fit for that role. And I think it's okay to say that, it's like, and so we put a 90-day probationary period, and we're very transparent. Here's our expectations. Here's what we want. It's not like we get rid of you right away if something doesn't work, but if you're proving time and time again that you don't want to do the things we're trying to coach you to do, then why are we prolonging this instead of just, saying what it is?
And then how do you actually keep your employees motivated to keep doing their best?
Man, I'm glad they're not here to tell you. Well, money, that's a start.
Yeah.
I think, I really think that if they were being honest, we have a lot of fun. Like, I'm the first one to make fun of myself. I try to joke around all the time. I don't think that we're ever too overly serious, but we do work hard and we play hard. Like, we have a
crazy dress days, or like
no, we don't do that. We do. I'm pretty sure everybody's up page here now. We just hired 2 people this week, so I was just thinking about that. But we do have like a happy hour that we do here. But it is like, we do fun team events and we take them out. And like, and that's probably,
you go play like pickleball with each other.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go like there. We'll go play like pool and like the basketball. There's a pub across the hall. But I'm again still into racing. I took I got a party bus together for our entire team, and we had it a whole night where we went down to Knoxville and took them out, had a good time, got everyone home safe.
Awesome.
That kind of stuff.
What would you say your biggest business expense is? Like what?
Payroll. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Well, you think about what we do. We don't produce something, right? So I don't have inventory. I don't have a product. I don't have these huge machines that I have to take care of. Whatnot. I need really, really smart, capable, hardworking people. And so that's where I invest time. Technology would be second. We have a lot of different software we invest in. We invest in a lot of different ways to make our people more efficient, to get better opportunities, underwrite better. But yeah, by far it's payroll.
How do you bring in most of your leads?
So the coverage direct side, we partner only with credit unions.
Okay.
So credit unions that want to offer a property casualty insurance option will use coverage direct as their back of house. So you don't know that it's a call center with an insurance agency in Iowa. You just know that it's branded to that credit union. So we get all of our leads there from the credit unions. On the Zipbond side, I said we're 50-50. 50% of our business is brokered through insurance agents all across the country, and 50% of it's direct. From a lead to close ratio, I mean, our organic marketing, we have, like I said, we get 5 or 6, 7, whatever it is, title bonds a day. But we also get a handful of other ones, bid bonds, others, commercial bonds, things like that. And then we also have somebody that's just cold calling all day long, trying to get in front of people. And we're going to be adding more of that because it works. I know people don't love cold calling, but the reason why people do it is because it works.
Yeah. Have you thought of implementing AI in some sort of way?
I've used artificial intelligence for a handful of recent projects to help me expedite things. It's not perfect it's not at a point where I can use it to just take something completely off my desk. But what it does do is help me expedite some things that I'm not great at. So for instance, I'm, updating a pitch deck for a specific project we're working on. I just throw it in ChatGPT and say, hey, update this. What would you do? And see what it comes up with. And I don't use everything, but it does create a good outline. And sometimes it does come up with things.
It'll give you ideas too.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. We do use ChatGPT to create outlines for specific bond content that we want to do. Not all of it, but it's part of it. But it's one of those things where it's like it assists, it doesn't replace.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, we may use it for school too.
Yeah, I can only imagine what you guys get away with doing that. Do they check it that well?
Well, kinda.
No, he says no. His face says
I've
no.
gotten caught.
I don't know if they're listening and not watching. His face said, "Nah."
He has gotten
I've
caught.
gotten
So.
caught using it. Like I got like a slap on the wrist, but if I get caught again, I mean I've used it again, but you gotta change it. You gotta change it. Like,
do your teachers listen to this?
Hopefully
maybe.
Maybe like some Spanish teachers, but I'm not running papers in Spanish with them. But you got to change it a lot to actually make it undetectable.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of that. There's going to be programs and companies that evolve to help monitor that. You guys are probably in a really good sweet spot where you get away with it for a bit.
Yeah, I use Bard.
Bard,
you know what that is? Okay.
Google's
It's so easy.
I'm not totally out of the loop. I mean, I might be a little older, but I'm still. I
didn't even know about it. My dad had to tell me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like coding a little bit if I'm stuck or access work. Yeah.
Yeah, I conceptually and from a high level can understand what's being on. I don't code anything, so.
Neither do I.
I just go over to my engineer and say, "Hey, how do you do this?"
Exactly. Ooh, that's so mind-numbing to me.
I don't have the focus for it.
Yeah,
it's a gift.
It is a gift.
And I don't have it.
You gotta be born with that stuff. I don't get that at all. Oh, some people really like it though.
Yeah.
Are you planning on being in the insurance business forever, or what are some of your long-term goals you want to?
That's a good question. I don't think about that enough.
Racing?
My wife made that comment. Yeah, I think I'm probably. So I realized as I was going, I had a bit of a loft issue, which is a lack of talent. So I guess figure out what that word is. I'd probably be more in the ownership space or wanted to be a part, like a partner of a team. I want to do that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think. I don't know, man. I'm getting to an age right now too, where my kids are starting to get to a really, really fun age where I can do things with them. So I want to spend more time with them. I want to be able to have. I think I've been grind so long that I need to get to a point where it's like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you working so hard to get to that point? And I need it, and it's time. At some point, you just have to have your time to be able to do what you want to do. I'd like to get to do that. I don't have anything specific. I don't want to be on a beach in Mexico or whatnot. None of that's really sorted out for me. So I don't know. Yeah, I need to do a better job of thinking that through. I do. I'm addicted to this process. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I do really enjoy this.
If it's fulfilling though, that's great.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's just, I have to take a step back and say okay, is that whole lifestyle really the best way to serve my spouse? Is it the best way to be a dad to my kids? Is it the best way to do something in this world that isn't just, starting a business or making money? I'm starting to get to an age where those thoughts are going through my head. And I haven't done it yet, but I need to do a better job of it.
I guess a follow-up question is do you any real estate or do you any crypto, I guess, or any other investments?
What do you invest in? Or do you
So I have a laundromat.
Okay.
That was the first big investment. We had this kind of a fork in the road. Are we going to go into some commercial real estate? We're going to do rental homes.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I talked about doing a laundromat forever. It was just one of those things where it came up and it kind of made sense, and we saw a need where we're at to have a different option, and we said, let's give it a shot. It sounded more fun, had more upside than the other. So I'd say that's my biggest one. I'm a retail trader a little bit. I do have obviously 401k and that kind of stuff. I'd like to get into real estate.
I wait for the market a little bit. The interest rates are.
Yeah, that's probably It's a good point, because really, when I would have had my first big shot at being able to do that, the money I put in the laundromat, interest rates were starting to climb, and it was just I don't think I'm gonna screw this up. I don't want this to be my first. Now, if it was still been 2.87, 3%, whatever rates, that would have been better. No crypto. I never was smart enough to figure that out. I tried looking into it during COVID, and I was just I was tempted
with the NFT craze and stuff. Is that when you kind of?
Yeah. Well, there's every single day somebody had this different idea of what blockchain was going to do, and I was going to. And so I did get caught up in a little bit of the.
I'm guessing Gary Vee kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what COVID really did is it re-sparked my interest in sports cards, because that was.
That's true.
I had a card shop when I was a kid. that was one of my first businesses, but it wasn't really legit.
Yeah.
And so, I got real nerdy in that.
Do you like more American or European or JDM?
For cards?
Yeah.
So I got into some of the old school stuff I did. I was a big Dan Marino fan growing up, so I got into that. But then I figured out that Formula One had these cards that came out, and that was my biggest interest. So that, and then it was like getting into Iowa State players. I didn't realize they had collegiate uniforms and RPAs, like a rookie, what is it called? A patch auto. It's like a logo patch. Mm-hmm. So I've got a ton of Urbandale's finest graduate there, Lazard. Got a bunch of his stuff.
Lazard.
Mm-hmm.
Our principal. That's the only thing he talks about. Yeah. It's hilarious.
He gives a speech. It's always about Lazard.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Like, you guys can be the next Lazard.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a teacher that does that?
Yeah.
It's our principal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it is cool to see a guy from look that get there. But you probably want to hear about somebody else.
Yeah.
Too. I get it.
Or,
I bet even Alan Lazard would be a little bit like, a little less than that. Yeah.
He is a little. He came to our school. Was it last year or 2 years ago?
I think it was 2 years ago to promote his brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, look, Iowa State guy. I still love him for that.
Self-made, so.
Mm-hmm.
Which is great. But
to him, so.
I don't have any other investments, though, guys. I wish I could tell you something super exciting. I just pour all my money back in my business.
When did you get into the laundromat? I want to know.
So we had everything up and going at the end of last year. So December is technically when we started. We did a soft open, and we ended up.
What's that mean?
At the time, we had everything up and going, ready to roll. But we didn't realize, and this is the whole thing about getting into the things you don't know. Like, I don't think I could have researched enough to avoid the mistakes that I ran into. I'm a jump then look, or build the plane all the way down kind of guy. Anyway, I have to learn that way. The water line for the building was not big enough at the entrance of the building to support all the machines. So if we would have opened up, we would have been able to run like 2 machines. I mean, we weren't going to do that.
Yeah.
We knew we had to replace the line for the entire building, like the inside of it. It was up in the rafters. They had not underneath, but over top. Nobody thought to think, I wonder if this water line that's supplying the building is big enough. We just all assumed, including the plumber, that it was there. So it held us up because the ground was frozen. We had to directionally drill a brand new water line. And so we ended up opening it in March, for the public, but we were ready to go last year.
Now, is it a positive cash flow right now?
Yeah.
Is
that your biggest problem, or has there been anything else that's come along the way?
Homeless people.
Just hanging out in there. And
homeless people have been an annoyance. I'd say just, it's at that kind of, it's not truly passive because it does actively require us to be a part of that time to time. But we do control everything. Like, we have locks that we control from our phone, lights that we control from our phone. We have cameras and everything, which is really nice. It did cash flow the second month, barely, but it did. So, I mean, that was really encouraging.
Awesome, yeah.
And it's steadily grown just a little bit every single month since then. But I don't really have any negative things to say about it. I think the reason, if you look up the SBA, success rate of businesses, 95% of laundromats are successful. It's probably because it's really hard to screw it up, especially with what we did. We gave a card option. The other two
in the laundromat.
You scan your card in.
So that was one thing that we felt was like a huge need in Ankeny. Their other two are actually owned by the same guy, and there's a card you can buy a loyalty card, but to actually use your Visa, MasterCard at the time, and I don't know if he's updated it since, but you couldn't do it. And so our thing was, look, this side of town, this one side we were on, because the other two are pretty close to each other, has been neglected. It's 80+% of your business is going to come within 1 mile radius of your laundromat. Well, we were a mile away and figured that Ankeny was growing so fast and so big that, we could probably even have one more and it'd be fine. So we said, let's take this chance, but let's really push the idea we have a card option. Last month, 80% of our business came from credit card transactions.
Nice.
So we thought it might be 50-50 or,
that's a big difference.
60-40 to the cash, but no, it's almost all card.
Huge,
do you think you'll open more, or do you think you'll?
Because that's a difference maker that'll make you stand out from not wanting to go to the other guys.
I don't know. I think it's maybe. I wouldn't want to run that without the right person managing it to do all of those, because right now my wife runs that for us. And I know she doesn't want to do, more and more. I've considered it. There's other features we could add, like a wash, dry, fold option, like full service laundry. We should do that before we decide. I would probably try to buy one and upgrade the equipment versus building again. After my experience, it's more than double the build out cost. It was quite a kick in the teeth. Tough lesson.
Do you think that could maybe be your exit strategy almost? Like maybe if you then just go to the, I don't know.
I haven't thought about it that way. If I get out of this, I'm again addicted to the process.
Yeah.
I'm having fun. I like what I do. I wake up most mornings, not all, if I'm being honest, but most mornings, and I just enjoy it. So I don't, it's like the reason I was like, when do you want to retire? I'd go crazy. I'd want to go do something. If I sold everything I had and went to a different, country or a different state, whatever, I'd probably still try to start a business. So I don't know. I haven't thought about that, but maybe.
What makes people want to work at Zipbonds rather than kind of coming back to the what motivates your employees? What makes people actually want to start working here rather than going to Progressive or a different insurance company?
So the most honest feedback I can give you on that is what they've told me or what I've heard them say, which is basically it's exciting to be a part of a startup. There's a little bit of a risk to it. There's a little bit of it's not Wells Fargo. It's not Nationwide. It's not Principal or Athene. Some of these other huge companies are here, but it also, our culture is different. I'd say our culture is more like what I consider a tech startup. Right?
So it's more personal. You guys are actually close.
We just have a lot of fun.
Gotcha.
Like we're not why were you off that call for 15 minutes? Like I noticed that you checked out at this time, or we're not that way.
Yeah, it's not corporate.
I know some employees at Wells Fargo, and they always complain about the work culture, and it's
a culture.
Yeah.
And when you get to that size, though, the only way you can, I think, keep track of everything and try to just put those parameters in place and those guardrails, if you will. We don't have to do that here. I don't know if you guys saw when you walked in. There's we call them our pillars, but there's 4 things that kind of define the culture that we have here. Be nice, tell the truth always be available, or at the time it was answer your phone. And the 4th one was give a shit, which is we now call it genuinely care, because grandmas come in here. But I think like we live that, and we not only to our clients and people we work with, but to each other. Like we do. We're not like, I don't do this kumbaya, like we're a family. No, it's not that. But like we do have a good time. Like I think people genuinely do enjoy being around each other when they're here, and they do enjoy
good balance.
Times we go. Yeah.
Maybe you have to give us a tour afterwards.
Yeah, I can show you for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And this, you guys are seeing it behind you here. These are the first office we were in, about 700 square feet. I went down to get the one in the middle because I really wanted that print.
It's a ray gun, right?
Yeah, a ray gun. And when I was down there, I called my business partner and I said, hey man, I was like, we don't have a whole lot of walls, and I see a couple other prints I think would look really cool. Let's just do that. So this is the original. We didn't have anything else on our walls but those 5 prints. And the Midwest one over here, we have, people that come from all over the country to meet with us for, the carriers and partners. They love that one. You guys travel enough where people are like, you're from Iowa? Like they think it's Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
Or Idaho. Yeah.
I'm actually excited. Hopefully we'll be able to travel to California this year.
Oh yeah.
So we're in a program like at school called DECA, like the marketing one I was kind of telling you about. And like I went to the one last year and it was in Florida, and I would tell the kids are from Iowa, and they're like, what? They're like, Idaho? Ohio?
Yeah, that's what happens. What's really fun is draw a map of the United States when you're at somewhere else and ask them to point where they think Iowa is.
Yeah.
It's they're never right. It's fun.
I don't blame them, honestly.
Yeah.
You don't know it unless you live here.
Well, people give me a hard time still for being from Iowa. In fact, I was named on this list. Ryan and I both were, about how these are 2 guys in InsurTech that you need to know, and the only reason you don't know about them is because they're in Iowa. and I tell people, like, and maybe it's me getting older, but I've always liked Iowa a lot. And I say, people think that we're isolated. I like to think that we're insulated. Like we have so much stuff that we don't have to deal with because we don't have all the other garbage that's going on. Right. So
like LA, the homeless is like.
Well, it's the homeless stuff, it's the constant fighting, bickering,
riots here.
Traffic, smog, different things. Like I know it's probably because I'm getting older, but it's like a great place to raise a family, great place to be.
No, it is.
But I kind of like the pace of life here.
Yeah, not too fast.
it's as fast as you want it to be, but it doesn't have to be, you know?
Right.
You ever been to Utah?
Oh, yeah.
My parents and stuff hate it there.
They hate it?
They hate it. They love Iowa because, you know, people feel real here. And like, but at Utah, they feel like.
Which part? Like Salt Lake
City? Everybody, like they say, everybody feels too nice. Like it's evil, kind of.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay.
I liked it, but
I can understand that they come across as fake. I was going to say, because I'm probably biased. I have a friend that is from a close friend that lives out there. And going back to my race, do you guys know what a Skyline is?
Like
a Nissan.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
A GTR?
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about building or something.
No.
Which one, if I may ask?
I don't remember which one it was, but he knew that I liked cars.
Mm-hmm.
And he owned an insurance agency, a tech company, and he also had a partnership at a used car lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I showed up and met this guy, he wasn't even at his house. I was at his house being driven there by a couple of these other guys going to this, I don't know, mastermind or whatever you want to call it, retreat. That's probably a better way. It was sitting in the driveway. And he was like, "Yeah, man, I got that for you." And I was like, "No, he's joking, right?" Like I assumed he was joking. So we get up in an hour and a half drive up to this cabin that's up in the mountains where we're all kind of going to meet and talk through strategy. And he goes, "Where's the car?" And I was like, "What do you mean, where's the car?" And he's like, "The car I got for you, where is it?" And I said, "It's at your house." And he's like, "Why didn't you drive it?" And I was like, "Because I didn't think you were serious. I've never met you before." He's like, "Dude, you know what I had to do to get you that car?"
Oh my gosh.
He'll never let me live that down. But yeah, that you want to talk about being nice, getting a car like that.
That's amazing.
Is it like the brand new one or like the old school?
No, it was the old school one.
You say he never met you too.
I met him and conversated about things, in our businesses through this group that we had, like on Facebook. I'd never personally met him. I'd never had a.
Did you take it? Did you take the car? Or no,
I was an hour and a half away at this point. Like when we got back, I was going straight to the airport. I still you want to talk about a dummy moment? Like, how would I have assumed that he was telling me the truth though? Like I had no idea.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when you first meet the guy. You can't tell if he's joking as well.
Yeah. So your parents might be onto something. Maybe he's too nice. Like guy that gives you that kind of car, he's up to something. I don't know.
That's
awesome. No, he wasn't. Yeah. He's a great guy. He's a tech entrepreneur. He just raised a ton of money too, and he's just one of the most genuine guys I've ever met. He's awesome. Wow. That's the kind of guys you need to be talking to. Maybe I'll tell him to get on this.
Maybe
do a little video call. That'd be cool, actually.
He'd do it.
That'd be awesome, especially if he's a car guy and JDM too.
I don't know if he's a car guy.
But
you'd have to lead that conversation.
Yeah.
He's more into cars.
You're a Honda guy?
Nah, I'm more American muscle, old school. Me and my dad, we just sold our car. We had a 67 Chevelle SS. Okay. So you ever go to Good Guys? I
was there with my truck this year.
Okay.
I have a 78 Ford F-150. It's got the extended cab. It was green and white. It's hard to miss. Detroit steel wheels.
I've probably seen it. I don't know. I'm not super technical in cars, but I like how they look and
just like to look at them.
But
I just drive a Chevy Impala and tear it up.
That's the
I like the color of the green.
Yep, that's Dad and I bought that when I was 15. Still had it since, and
it's in great condition.
Do you have a dream car?
Yeah. So kind of. Mm-hmm. The not practical one is I would like to own one of the original GT40s.
Okay.
Ford versus Ferrari GT40s. Mm-hmm. I would love to own one of those cars. If I want to talk practical, what I think I might actually own
daily driver.
To drive, because that's a car it's art. I would still drive it hard, but you don't want to because it's a very rare car. But I would say a Porsche GT3, 911 GT3. That would be my yeah. I'm not a supercar guy though so much.
Yeah.
I would take one of those though for sure.
She was just given to you.
Well, I don't mind if I earn it. I just that would be. I'll probably own one of those at some point.
Can't believe you could. This guy.
I know. Just to say I drove one would be cool. But it's actually been cooler that he gets to make fun of me for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll never let it go. Guys got anything else?
What is one thing you wish you could tell your younger self?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
Probably just stop sweating all the small stuff. Mm-hmm. I think I spent too much time focused on and just letting my stress, anxiety, frustration, whatever ruin certain times. It's like at the end of the day, like it is what it is. I think as you get older, you kind of understand things they do become, I wouldn't say easier, but you just get more used to the fact that you're going to get hit with challenges and, frustrations and things that come up. So I probably would try to tell myself not to sweat the small stuff. I don't know if I'd listen, but that stuff's not as important. Like I made a bigger deal out about a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have, especially early on. I was probably a little too intense about stuff, but yeah, that's probably the one thing I would say is just to do that and maybe start sooner. I wish I would have just gone after a full bore like in the beginning, but still was younger than most.
Well, you're here now, and you
I'm gonna do it now. Yep.
So at the very beginning, you said you still race, right?
Yeah. Well, I didn't this year, but yeah, I do this fun series.
What cars do you race? Like when you are racing?
So I do this. It's not overly glamorous, but it's the most fun thing that I've done. So we do this endurance series. There's a group out of Wisconsin that I've raced with, and there's a series that they run at Hawkeye Downs up in Cedar Rapids. Mm-hmm. And it's a front wheel drive 4-cylinder car. You put a small roll cage in it to knock the windows out. It's supposed to be like budget racing.
Yeah.
But it turns out to be some of the most fun racing you have because it's endurance. You got to try to make it through the race. They'll do circle track, but they also do like a roval, like a road course type, which is my favorite one to do. They're actually racing this weekend. I wish I had a car ready. That's what I've done. I'd like to get into more road course racing, SCCA type stuff. I said I was going to take this year off because I was trying to focus on the businesses and we moved houses and all this other stuff. I didn't have time. Right. But yeah, it's nothing that cool, but it's a lot of fun.
I believe it. It sounds fun.
You ever watch Donut Media?
Yeah. I know those guys for sure. Awesome. Yeah. Do you guys know what chump car racing is?
No.
Okay. Chump car is like they have these different endurance series, like more than one driver, road courses, like nice road courses. Laguna Seca, Road America, Road Atlanta, Barber.
Just take turns like
yeah. And there'll be BMWs, Miatas, and this kind of stuff. And some of them take it more serious than others. But it's champ car, is what they call it now. It's chump car, champ car, and then there's like 24 hours of lemons instead of Le Mans. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, it's like, what I was doing up there is kind of like that. Mm-hmm. It's not a lot. It's not overly serious, but it's a lot of fun.
Cool. Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah.
So I guess my question would be, what motivates you guys to want to do this kind of stuff? What do you hope to get out of it?
I like the experience. I love talking to people. I'm a social person, and I learn a lot from doing this. Like, I just like hearing about life stories and experiences. Sure. Like, everybody has their thing that makes me unique. Like, you like cars, which that doesn't make you like entirely unique, but the story you had about that dude giving you what you want to call it, the Skyline, and you didn't even take it. Yeah. I yearn for those. I love those little stories.
But the fact that like you sold everything and drove down, like, I'm going to try this out, and you took a huge risk doing that. And
yeah, I think everybody needs that one big adventure. Mm-hmm. I'm really glad I did. I learned more about myself and what I wanted, just out of life and doing that more than anything else. So I would suggest you guys do the same. So that's why you do it. do you guys have businesses?
I do.
What's that?
I have a lawn care business right now.
Okay, that's cool.
But I haven't told anybody else about this, but I'll tell you about this because you watch Gary Vee. I used to try to, like, I made an NFT collection and stuff.
Sure.
That took me forever, but it failed. So
yeah,
it's a little failed business there. But
you learned.
I did.
Yeah, I was just say, like, I don't. There's things that I have that haven't panned out, but I don't really think of it as failures. I feel like it's like
so much from it. Yeah.
You guys are talking about like artificial intelligence, right? Machine learning, things like that. It really, all that is a process of figuring out all the ways that it doesn't work. So that's the way I look at the process of something didn't work. Like, okay, then you pivot and go to the next thing. Don't dwell on it. It's just it is what it is. Yeah. Was it for what did you build it on?
Solana.
Okay, I don't know.
Do you know what Ethereum is, right? Though.
Yep.
I originally built it on Ethereum. Mm-hmm. Then gas prices, like transaction fees and stuff, just got so high. So I changed it over to Solana. Solana's just another cryptocurrency, but they have like less than pennies for their transactions.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't see why I shouldn't do it on there. Because it's like the second.
Do you still have them?
I do still have them, but they're not worth anything. But it's cool just still
maybe
have
not like monetary value, but I bet that if
It's
you
definitely-
keep them and have them and say like,
it's
hey,
sentimental and kind of cool. to
that's
look
exactly
back
what
on.
it is. Yeah. I think that's cool.
Yeah, merch too.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah,
I do. I have like a little beanie and
Yeah?
hoodies. I do wear them. I like it. I like because I hand drew everything.
Yeah.
And then I also like it was literally just me doing the entire thing. I coded it, hand drew it, marketed it, and then everything. So it's it is kind of the grit, like you were saying. It's
You just gotta stick it out and do it.
I stick it out and did it. Yeah.
I learned more again that year that I spent going down to Charlotte, not going and then starting a junk removal company. I mean, there were days where I was like, I went to college. Why am I doing this? I went to college. Why am I doing this? Why not? But I still have things that I've used from learning there. Like the fact that you did something, like that's the biggest thing that stops people from being entrepreneurs. They're afraid to try. They're afraid of what people are going to think of them. You just got to do it. Just keep working. And even if it doesn't work out, go to the next thing. Pivot. Keep going. So I think it's great. I think you're going to look back and be like, I'm really glad I did that because you'll use the same stuff.
I'm glad now I did it,
Yeah.
honestly.
Good. So what's the next step for you guys? You guys
well,
aspirations? You guys know what you want to be when you grow up?
not really. That's like the thing I'm kind of struggling with right now. Like I know I want to be my own boss, but I don't know in what field.
Why do you want to be your own boss?
Why? Because I don't know. Like I know, but I'm trying to think like how to explain that. Like I don't know, just working for somebody. I mean, I'm okay working with somebody because I know you have to do that for a little bit to then get to kind of being your own boss.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of like then on you to like, I don't know.
It's the most stressful thing you'll probably ever have. Yeah. I mean, being a parent's pretty close to it, but like, it's not like they're my kids or anything, but I remember seeing a photo of us with our biggest the team's ever been. And I remember my mom and dad being like, oh, I'm so proud of you. It's so great. It's so amazing you did it. And I said, every single time I look at that photo, I almost want to throw up because I think to myself, like, I'm responsible to make sure that every one of those people have a job and every one of those people can provide for what they're doing today. It's a lot of pressure to be able to do it. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm just saying, like, just know the reasons why you want to be it. I
guess because the sky's the limit when you're kind of your own boss. But like you can like climb the ladder if you're like an employee. Just, you can do that, but like I said, the sky's like the limit if you're your own boss and you can kind of.
No, I think that's great. But again, it's just like if you told me it's like it's because I just want to make more money, you can make money a lot of different places and not have this because you can only focus on making the money. You don't have to worry about the HR. You don't have to worry about the payroll. You don't have to worry about all the other things that go along with it. And if you do it just for the clout too, I mean, those the money and the clout are two things that are they're so empty. Like you get a rush for a little bit and then it's just gone.
Yeah.
But if you say, hey, I'm driven by the problem or I'm driven because I'm just passionate about this one thing that I do or whatnot, those are the right reasons. I want to do it.
Exactly.
Like one of my goals is like I want to sounds weird like a grape farmer, like a vineyard. So
I think that's great.
So that's kind of like my angle, I guess. Or
do you like the process of seeing something like start to finish?
Yes.
You?
So like the winemaking process, like how to make alcohol, like the fermentation and all that. So
that's one of the, So in what I do right now, like I don't get that, and like it drives me crazy sometimes. So that makes a lot of sense. Like good for you. You should definitely try to. To people who are listening to this, or for you guys too, like are thinking about entrepreneurship, one of the things that I think is a really, really good way to try to see if you have that grit, to try to see if you have that passion, do a side hustle. Do something from 5 to 9 every single night.
What shoe size are you?
11 and a half, 12.
11 and a half? You wear like Jordans, Dunks, or are you kind of...
Dude, I'm 40, man. I don't do anything cool anymore. No, I do. I wear this regular stuff, and then I wear like on clouds on the weekends. I don't have any fun shoes.
Very interested. I do sell shoes.
You sell shoes?
Yeah.
You know what I would probably take, and mostly because my wife thinks it's ridiculous. I had the first pair of Kobe's.
Okay.
And it was junior high in basketball. That was like a pick every year. You know what those are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Old zigzag with the black and white. Yeah. I'll take those, but no, I don't. I'm not a sneakerhead.
No.
You'd think with the sports car thing that those two usually come out. That's not me. Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else? Right on, guys. This is a lot of fun. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much, Zach.
Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Sounds good, guys.
Thank you.
Good for you. Yeah. You're welcome.